Great, so we've got a couple of anonymous questions that have been sent in. If you don't feel comfortable putting your name to a question, then please do just email us on, correct me if I'm wrong, fin@11fs.com, I believe. And we will also read them out and obviously not mention your name. So question one from Anonymous is, how can I deliver new fintech solutions to the B2B sphere of real value across borders without being of mercy to the big banks' corporate world?
Ooh. So it seems like a sensible question, but actually it's just very, very abstract, because B2B encompasses just such a broad spectrum of potential solutions. So to me, I'm reminded a bit of a book from way back in early 2000s, The Beer Mat Entrepreneur. And it was this book with essentially 3 questions on the front. The entire book was about, let's simplify business down a bit. We just make it all a little bit too complex. And The Beer Mat Entrepreneur had 3 steps. One, what's your pitch? There was nothing in that question that was a value proposition that made me go, oh, that's interesting. It was B2B payments, how can we do so? It's well, I don't know, that's a massive area. Second thing was, who's your first client? So rather than disrupting B2B across the world, okay, that's a business to a business. Who is that? Who can you find in order to implement it? What's the smallest way of doing that? It's finding 2 businesses that need to send money to each other and then finding out a way of doing that. And the third tip, which always was interested me, was find a mentor. Find someone who knows that or has been through it or can actually point you at the ways that things go right or go wrong. And so that you can go back and forth with. So rather than it being, us getting into such big strategic questions, I think it's just a case of simplifying it down from a startup perspective, or even from a new proposition for a big bank perspective. What's the pitch? What's the value? What's the value exchange here? Who are the first customers to try it with? And then who's done it that we can talk to and make sure it works? Because I guess that ties in pretty well with some of your blockchain proof of concepts that you've been doing.
Absolutely. So the start small, think big cliche exists for a reason, and a lot of people trope that out without actually doing it.
Trope, that's a good verb.
Yeah, I think that's the incorrect verb though. I think it's supposed to roll it out. I'm not entirely sure what the correct adjective was, in fact, because I know our word nerd is bothered for is it an adjective, is it a verb? We're going down a rabbit hole here. So the start small piece in B2B is absolutely possible. Actually, rather than trying to boil the ocean, rather than trying to solve for international cross-border of all the people in all the places, you don't know if it works yet. You don't know if the customer's going to buy it. The key word that was used in the question was proposition. Does somebody want to buy the proposition? Okay, great. We'll build enough of it for them to buy it, and then it will fund itself, and you can solve the problems as they go, taking a startup approach. If you were trying to integrate to everybody's legacy systems in the big banks, I think what's behind this question is, in order to do FX generally, you have to integrate with the big banks. And the alternatives are the likes of a currency cloud, which actually abstract the problem but create cost. You're not really getting serious FX margin. And the alternative to that is very nascent emerging stuff in the blockchain space that hasn't really proven itself, but might do. But again, with all of these, step in some do. I think we live in a complex world in which action is actually the most important thing that you need to do. In fact, it's not even complex, it's chaotic. You need to take action, and then the proposition you test as you go, rather than going, I need the perfect proposition before I can start to get the PowerPoint pack together to the strategy team so that they can take it to, that's not going to be what gives you your answer. And again, it goes back to the first question, are you trying to build a brilliant new B2B proposition on the existing business, or are you just trying to find if customers want to buy the thing? And if customers want to buy the thing and the P&L's there, do.